would like to have in writing within that the whole of government approach, because as I've read CBP, what do they call them? Not reports, but manuals. Or I'm missing my word. They talk about the whole of government, and they talk about law enforcement being the very first level of the whole of government. That they must be on board with the mission and the vision, the mission, and modes of operation to collaborate with Border Patrol. That is the whole of government that I want to see in writing where it is, how it is that we fit in here. And I know it exists. I mean, in July, Rudolph Kasich talked about it in the newspaper. He was chastising the rest of y'all, saying this is a whole of government issue. It's not just our problem, kind of thing. And so I want to know the origins of this Stonegarden language and that whole of government in particular.
I had a question. What's the funding look like? What's the number that y'all are asking for?
It's slightly under $2 million in total, and we're looking at between $500,000 and $750,000 worth of equipment, and then about $1.2 million in overtime and mileage expenses.
Okay. Another question. Chuck Huckleberry sent out a memo about Stonegarden that was interesting, to say the least. Would you all be able to give us a response to that? Have you read it?
I'm not sure which memo. I may have read it. I'm not sure. I don't have it in front of me.
It's the latest one that he sent out about Stonegarden, where he talks about the actual surface or area that you actually patrol, how you, when you're using Stonegarden hours, you actually are not supposed to be doing regular local law enforcement, public safety type stuff. It was, and then he gives recommendations as to what you can do instead of taking these funds, or if you took these funds in a different manner, that you can hire 3 deputies or something like that, rather than paying for overtime for Border Patrol related stuff. It was quite jarring for me to see him put all of that information. He basically, a lot of the talking points that Sheriff Napier used, which was, this is about public safety, that we would be compromising public safety, that you all patrol the largest, county. But Huckleberry basically broke down the part that's the nation, the part that's private and public property, and at the end, from what I recall, sheriff deputies are actually in charge or should be patrolling like a 4% area of that entire Pima County. I'm just wondering if y'all read that, or if you have.
I'm familiar with that memo. I haven't read it recently, but I know,
okay.
I know what you're referring to.
I just haven't seen the memo. So I think we need to see it.
All right, so it's on the website. Yeah, so you can go to the website and download it, and I would recommend that everybody read it.
So I'll just kind of echo what Sheriff Napier has said previously, and that is Operation Stonegarden allows us to increase sheriff's deputies' presence into all areas of unincorporated Pima County. And I know that there was a in that memo that discussed the fact that a lot of these operations happen on state highways. That's true. State highways are not the exclusive jurisdiction of the Department of Public Safety or the state. And what we have to address is the fact that again, the primary mission for Stonegarden is border security mission. Again, drugs north and money and guns south. And a lot of that transport happens on state highways. So yes, we do patrol on state highways, but we also do patrol in other rural areas, which are known to be the trafficking areas. It's areas that the added benefit to the citizens of Pima County. For example, when you talk about areas like Sassabee and Arivaca and Ajo and things like that, which are remote, and there's not a huge need for service in the form of 911 calls, which is our primary function in the patrol realm. but yet these areas are used as trafficking routes. And so to have an increased presence there to interdict that stuff, that's what Stonegarden allows us to do.
Joe, just one quick note and then you. On the notion of us doing a lot of this work on the state highways, from what I recall, Chuck Huckleberry actually said that that's another expense that that Pima County is picking up for the state. Joe?
I know these figures, they might not. So the big rub was 1.5 million in Stonegarden funds, right? In the beginning, it was being rejected.
You mean last year?
This last go round.
Yeah, back in September.
Approximately, yes.
Okay. Sheriff bragged about saving 5 million and giving it back. He could have used that 5 million 2 times over to take care of this problem. He chose to give the money back. So he's making a mountain out of a molehill of a 1.5 mil, but he gives back 5 mil to try to show that he's saving money when he could use that money to protect the county or to give deputies raises, the whole 9 yards. So this is just a big canard coming and going.
Well, I think that's a mischaracterization of giving money back. Now, yes, the Board of Supervisors does allocate a budget for the Sheriff's Department, but it's not like we've got it sitting in a safe at the Sheriff's Department. So to answer the issue of could he have used this extra money that were not spent on salaries and other downsizing of parts of the Sheriff's Department, could he use that money to fill a gap? Yes, and he is. He's authorized a Rural Safety Initiative, which is a Pima County funded overtime project to do exactly the same thing. So
but at the same time, he brags about giving back 5 million or saving 5 million. Can't have it both ways.
Well, he's not giving it back.